So this is my 2000 Ford Explorer Sport. I've done front brakes and front hub and bearings on this. So pretty much to start off, you're gonna need to jack the car up, get the tires off, and I'll meet you there. Another thing, when you're getting the wheel off, normally if you have air tools and stuff, which we have a compressor here, but I'm kind of limited on tools, you got to keep the tire on the ground, and this ain't really a big enough ratchet, so you put a pipe on the end of it, get some more leverage to crack it loose. Once you get the tire off, normally we put a jack stand under here because the floor lift jack, if it sits too long with the weight on it, it'll start to decompress and go down, so you keep the jack under there, make sure it's sturdy, not going to go anywhere. To replace the pads, you're going to have to take the caliper off. It's just 2 bolts on the back here you got to get at. Comes off, and then I'll show you once you're there. So this first bolt is going to be up on top here. Once you break it loose, it comes out fairly easy. Then the second one, it's going to be right here, right. Back them out, and then you're alright. Now I got them bolts out. Sometimes you're gonna need to use a breaker bar, but this one was just recently off, so it should come off pretty easy. Yep. And there's the caliper, and you got new brakes in here. They slide right out. I just did new brake pads because the rotor and caliper were still good, so I didn't see spending the extra money if it didn't need it, since I'm trying to get rid of it. Just something to save money and not worth my time. So after these were replaced, I'd put this back on here, and then there's bolts back here for the caliper bracket that holds the caliper on here. Then you're gonna have to remove this so that you can get the brake rotor off. Once you get the brake rotor off, you're gonna, well, once I get there, I'll show you it. Alright, so you can see I got the socket on this caliper bracket bolt. There's one up top here, and then there's one down here that I gotta get out. Alright, now I got the caliper off. This rotor will just come right out. Some will have a screw, but this bolt from the caliper bracket got stuck in here, so sometimes just to get the bolt out, you just gotta bang it on the ground a couple times, she'll come right out. Alright, here's the new hub and bearing. It's got 3 bolts going in, one up here, one right here, and one right there. Pretty much just gotta pop them off. Take out this, oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank right now. This hub nut right here. You're gonna take that out, and then you're gonna get a punch on this thing and hammer, and once you get all these bolts out, you're gonna pound this out, and this is gonna push the drive axle through so that it separates the splines of the CV axle to the hub and bearing, so you can just pop it right off, and then put the new one in, get it all back together. And you got to follow this wire from both sides because this is your ABS wire. You got to follow that all the way back up this stuff and over into there. So that's pretty much it for the front brake pads and hub and bearing on this side, and then obviously it's going to be the same thing over here. Jack it up, put a jack stand under it, tire off, same bolts, same everything, just got to replace them. Also this winter I had a little accident, so I fixed this up. Obviously it ain't the most pretty, but I just kind of drilled holes around where it was cracked and zip tied everything up together just so it's where it should be and not hanging down flapping. And then also just kind of touched up and make it look better, I got some like truck liner, bed liner stuff that I painted, taped across the top, and tape all the way around the car, which took quite a while to do. It ain't the prettiest, but looks better than what it did before. Just something to clean it up a little bit, make it match a little better. But yeah, there isn't really much more about this vehicle that I did. I mean, I cleaned everything out of it, obviously. Vacuumed everything, wiped everything down, made it look nice. And under the hood, which I didn't really mention, but I just kind of remembered, I did plugs and wires on this thing, which definitely raises the value on it, because if you have a misfire, or something's wrong with the ignition or firing system, motor will run like shit, nobody's gonna want it. So new plugs and wires. This side was fairly easy, but once you get to this side over here, I had to go in through the wheel well down here. I had to take all that stuff out, take the tire off, and reach through and get the last two. I could get the front one from up top, but them other two, they're tucked in there real good. It's just another thing that I had to do to make this thing, I don't know, worth the buy, I guess. Gotta do whatever it takes to make it stand out to somebody. I just keep thinking up ideas of this thing that I already did. When this thing was running not as well, like when I did the plugs and wires, it kind of had a misfire, and so I did the plugs and wires, it still happened, and I changed the ignition coil right here that fires to all the cylinders, and that still didn't make any difference. Then I finally figured out that the air filter was messed up inside the air box and messing with the mass airflow sensor right there. So all I had to do was just take a peek inside the air box, move the air filter around because it was like jammed down in there weird. I'll take it off, I'll show you. Oh shoot. There. Dang. Thing's a pain to get out. So this thing, the air filter was like stuffed down in there. It wasn't even on the thing pretty much. So it was pretty much creating an air leak, which was causing my car to run bad, which, I mean, if you took it to a shop, diagnostics and all that stuff, that's going to cost you money. I mean, genuinely just kind of having a knowledge about cars and understanding what happens when something isn't working right, or what you can do to help skimp it by to get you where you need to be, or I don't know, having a general idea about cars just is a good overall skill set to have, because they're in our everyday lives, and just knowing a little bit helps a lot, especially if you're in a jam and something is fixable and you realize it is, then you can carry on with your day. And I don't know, if you don't know anything, you're going to be stuck calling AAA, spending money, calling somebody to come get you. So yeah,